Hello, and welcome to the Divorced Dadvocate, divorce support for dads, where we help dads create a healthy and less traumatic divorce. My name is Jude Sandoval, and I'm your host. I created this podcast and the Divorced Advocate community as a result of my own high conflict divorce, and because you as a dad deserve all the resources necessary to thrive through this challenging time. I encourage you to check out our website at thedivorcedadvocate.com, where there are resources that correspond to this episode, as well as free access to our membership community, where you will find live meetings, free workshops and courses, private discussion groups, and more. And now, on to this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to the show. Today, we're going to be talking about why you need a spiritual practice during divorce. We had our group meeting this weekend, and we had lots of fellas that were on it that were experiencing parental alienation. It's a very difficult and challenging time if you're going through it. I'm not telling you something that you don't already know, but one of the conclusions we came to was that in this difficult and challenging time, particularly where we can't control something maybe right now as to like how much time we spend or get to spend with our kiddos until things get resolved, that finding something that is greater than us and developing a spiritual practice is definitely positive and beneficial for us during this challenging time. So we're going to jump into that, but first let me welcome PJ to the Divorced Advocate community. And if you're not part of the community, check out the website and get involved. All kinds of resources from free to paid, but you deserve the support and help that you need through this. And it is our goal here at the Divorced Advocate community to be an aggregate for that. So we've got all kinds of resources. Check those out and jump in and get involved. Okay, as I don't need to tell you, divorce is one of the most emotionally and mentally taxing experiences that we can ever go through. And for us, Dad, it definitely brings some unique challenges, the challenges of navigating custody, finances, our own personal healing, and probably most importantly of all, maintaining a sense of normalcy for our kiddos. And amid that, this uncertainty, developing and maintaining a spiritual practice is one of the most powerful ways to stay grounded and also find a sense of purpose, which might be something that you're struggling with at this time. So we're going to talk about 6 different ways in which you can cultivate your spirituality during divorce, and why it's essential for dads and how it can positively impact both you and your children. The first one is staying rooted in something that is greater. Divorce oftentimes can make us feel like the world has been turned upside down, and in some senses it really has. The future, our future, or your future is uncertain. Emotions are running high. Stress can be overwhelming. And during these times, a spiritual practice will provide a way to anchor yourself in something greater than the immediate chaos. So whether that's through prayer, it could be through meditation, maybe reading sacred text or the word, or simply just spending time in nature, spirituality helps you stay connected to a larger purpose. And so when I say spirituality also, I'm not necessarily saying religion. Spirituality is just becoming connected to something. We're all spiritual beings. So getting connected to something that is greater than you. So that's why when I describe this, for me, it's prayer and reading sacred texts and doing meditation and spending time in nature. Those are all things in that order that are essential for me. For you, it could be something completely different. But the point being is, instead of focusing solely on the pain or the confusion or the anger that can accompany a separation, by developing a spiritual practice, this reminds you that life is bigger than just this moment. And also, it offers peace and perspective that can help you navigate the storm with more grace and patience. Spiritual practices, whether rooted in religious faith, like I said, and like mine, or personal mindfulness, remind us of timeless values such as compassion or resilience or hope. All of these being qualities that can help you stay steady and strong and weather the storm and stay the course during this turbulent time. So stay rooted in something greater. Number two, it can manage stress and emotional turmoil. As I said, and as you're experiencing it, and you know if you've been through it, divorce is stressful. There's no doubts about it. And it can take a toll on your mental and physical health. One of the guys this weekend was just lamenting that he is absolutely exhausted because of the constant battle. And if you are post-divorce, you know that or even during divorce, it is already difficult and challenging to parent kids in the best of situations with two parents and everything being in a more harmonious place. But then if you're in a divorce or you're post-divorce and you're parenting on your own, and then you have a soon-to-be ex or an ex that's making things difficult and wants to argue all the time, that just places an even greater burden on you. It creates more emotional turmoil and immensely more stress. So that was one of his conversation, his comment about that being exhausted was one of the things that led us to start talking about spirituality and how we can anchor to something deeper. So incorporating these spiritual rituals or whatever spiritual rituals you that you will implement into your life is an effective way to reduce that stress and manage emotions. And a few of examples of those are by doing some mindfulness meditation. So you've heard me talk about it many, many times on the show. If you've listened to more than one episode, and we've done whole episodes on meditation, and it's just a phenomenal way to help calm the mind. It will help reduce your anxiety, and also it helps with your emotional clarity, especially if things are constantly coming at you, which they are during divorce. So another is prayer or reflection. Like I mentioned, this can bring comfort by reminding you that you're not alone in your struggles. Another thing that can remind you that you're not alone in your struggles is become part of our community. Don't self-isolate. Show up for our group calls. We're also going to be starting a WhatsApp text or a WhatsApp forum where people can share on a ongoing basis. That was a request that was made, which I think is a brilliant idea. So, but don't stay alone in your struggles. There are others that are going through it, and there are others who have been through it that want to help you as well. And so prayer and reflection can offer a space for both vulnerability and strength. The last brief example I'm going to give is journaling. We've also talked about that a lot on the show. And I got to tell you, I just had a couple of weeks ago, one of the guys mentioned that he had started journaling and that it's been absolutely tremendous for him. I know that I resisted journaling for a very long time. And once I started doing it, I saw the benefits immediately. So, journaling about spiritual thoughts and lessons can offer a release for pent-up emotions, helping you process the situation in a healthy way. There's just something about putting pen to paper and writing out your thoughts that helps to increase the clarity of what you're thinking about and what you're going through. So by consistently engaging in these practices, you'll build emotional resilience. This is going to give you the ability to face these complexities of divorce with greater confidence. And while everything else around you feels out of control, your spiritual practice will become in and of itself a reliable and empowering tool. So I'm going to say that last part again, because I think that's the most critical part, at least for me, about being able to manage stress and turmoil is by by implementing these spiritual practice, what happens and what has happened in my life is when everything else around me feels like it's out of control, or whether I don't have control over it, or whether something's happening or there's a challenge in my life, the spiritual practice itself, by being anchored and being able to do that on a consistent basis, becomes a reliable and empowering tool in and of itself. So that's absolutely critical. Number 3, modeling resilience for your children. So divorce not only impacts us, as we know, but it deeply impacts our children. And while they're watching us through this and how we handle this challenging time, and they're going to learn from our responses during this challenging time. So one of the greatest gifts we can give them is the example of how to cope with adversity in healthy and constructive ways. And so by prioritizing your spiritual well-being, you're demonstrating that life's difficulties can be met with strength and faith and hope. So, this is, at least for me, and I'll say that this was not a mindset, and I did not come to the spiritual practices that I have in my life now early on in my divorce, which is for me was unfortunate, but everything happens in great time. But children, especially during times of turmoil, will benefit immensely from seeing their parents grounded in a routine that offers peace and perspective. So by us dads modeling a spiritual practice, you show them that they too can turn to something greater than themselves in moments of hardship. You give them a blueprint for handling the challenges that they can carry into adulthood. That's our goal, to help them to become healthy and functioning adults. So we give them a blueprint for handling challenges by creating these spiritual practices that then they are able to see, we model for them, and that they will incorporate in their life. So imagine your child years down the road facing a difficult situation and recalling how you, dad, took time to meditate, pray, or reflect during this difficult and challenging time. You're not just helping yourself, you're offering them a lifelong tool and resource for being resilient. Number 4, fostering emotional connection with your kids. A spiritual practice can also deepen your relationship with your children. And by involving them in some aspects of your practice, whether it's just simple breathing exercises during a meditation, or reading stories with spiritual lessons, or practicing gratitude together, or maybe volunteering, you create moments of emotional intimacy and connection. And this can be especially important during divorce, when the family dynamics changing, and kids may feel a loss, or a sense of loss or confusion. So I know you do, but just remember, they're going through their whole experience in this as well, which is incredibly challenging. And so all the chaos and upheaval that you feel, they're feeling that in their lives as well. So by including them in this, you are creating a couple of things. One, you're creating, like I said, that intimate relationship with them rooted in spirituality. But the other thing is you're starting to create the environment that you want to have in your household with them. And if that is just by spending even a few minutes a day in spiritual practice together, it could foster a sense of unity and peace amongst all the external chaos that you have going on and that they have going on. And then it shows them that even though the family structure may be shifting, there's still a foundation of love, of support, and of shared values. So that's a really, really great one as well. Those two, 3 and 4, with modeling resilience for your children and fostering emotional connection with them, are huge benefits that, really, when you think about it, you could not, it would be very difficult. I want to say you could not, but it would be very difficult to create a situation to where you could model that in just everyday parenting in a two-parent household. You would have to create something so difficult and challenging and stressful in your life, which you'd never want to do, in order to model that for your kids. So if you can reframe what you're going through to some extent and say, hey, okay, well, this is an opportunity. This is terrible. I may not want to be going through it, but it is an opportunity for me to be able to model resilience for my children and foster this emotional connection with them through this spiritual practice, and including them in that. It is a huge and amazing opportunity for you. Number 5, finding personal growth and transformation. We'll bring it back to ourselves now. Divorce often marks the end of one chapter, but can also be the beginning of another chapter. A spiritual practice can transform the difficult time into an opportunity for personal growth, like I just mentioned, with your kids. It can be an opportunity for personal growth for yourself as well. And by turning inward, reflecting on your values, seeking guidance through spiritual means, you just may uncover new strengths, new passions, and new perspectives on life. The path of spirituality is not about avoiding the pain. Actually, it's quite the opposite, but learning to navigate through it with grace. Over time, it can help you rebuild a sense of self that is stronger and more aligned with your true purpose. This growth not only benefits you, but also enhances the way that you show up as a father. I can definitively say that I am a better father now than I was 11 years ago when I got my divorce. And a whole bunch of that is attributed to the difficulties and challenges that I experienced going through divorce and post-divorce. Our final one, number 6, providing stability during uncertainty. I've alluded kind of to this throughout. Maintaining a spiritual practice gives you stability during one of the most unstable periods of your life, when so much is changing and you feel as though nothing is in your control, which a lot of it is not. Spirituality offers consistency. It reminds you that regardless of external circumstances, there are always internal practices you can turn to for strength, guidance, and peace. By staying rooted in this stability and not the external stabilities, you're able to better manage the responsibilities of being a dad, showing up for your children as someone who is strong, grounded, and emotionally available, even in the midst of personal challenges. Fellas, there's no greater gift than this that you can provide to your kiddos. So the conclusion is, for me, that there is power of spirituality in and during divorce. And as we go through the divorce, developing and nurturing a spiritual practice is one of the most empowering things you can do for yourself and do for your children. It's going to help you stay grounded in a time of uncertainty. It will reduce your stress. It will provide a model of resilience for your kids. And by embracing spirituality, you're not only healing yourself, but you're also equipping your children with a lifelong tool for navigating their own challenges. Remember, divorce is just a chapter. It's not the entire book of your life. And spirituality can be the anchor that helps you weather the storm and emerge stronger, wiser, and more connected to what truly matters. Gentlemen, I hope that you found some value in this today. If you did, please share it far and wide with other divorced or divorcing dads. Put it on social media. Give us a star rating, or better yet, leave some comments. I have not seen any comments in a very long time, and that really helps us to demonstrate to other dads that are looking up the show online or in social media or on their podcast platform that it is a show worthwhile. This is episode 226. And we are continuing to grow strong, and we are continuing to grow our listenership, and the divorced advocate community is continuing to grow. That is directly attributed to you. So please continue to share this with everybody and anybody that you feel will find some benefit. Thank you so much. Have a great week. To hear the rest of this episode and access the corresponding resources, visit thedivorcedadvocate.com and become a member of our community. It's free to join and will provide you with the resources you deserve as a divorced or divorcing dad. Thank you for listening. God bless, and I'll talk with you next week.